I crossed paths with this week's guest at Higher Ed PodCon I believe it was July. And it's interesting because as our paths have crossed again, we came into a really good conversation. Greg works for RSS.com. They're a podcasting hosting platform, so he's got a lot of great insights on podcasting, where it's going, what it's doing. Kind of gives you a little idea behind the curtain. You definitely want to stay tuned for this one. So, Greg, you spent years, not that many years, but you spent a few years in traditional like media, high pressure stuff, not always the relationship thing. A lot of it was kind of get him in, get him out. I understand that. But you've turned and now you're you're Mr. Relationship. Everything you do is based on how can I help people? And I see podcasting as that way as a big piece of it. It's being in service of people. How did moving from selling to connecting just change everything that you did?
I mean, the reality is if I correct the statement, it was always like that, right? So For me, it was always the relationship was the key piece. I mean, it's always been my MO because the reality is no matter what you're selling, especially from my generation, right? Our generation, we're not staying 40 years. It's rare to see someone stay 40 years at a company these days. When I see that, I'm like, wow, good for you. But it's not the typical case. And I knew that going into a career. So the thought was I have this product that I have to sell. So I worked for Yahoo, worked for CBS, worked for a couple startups. So I always had something from a media standpoint I had to sell. But like whoever I'm talking to, whether it's the brand or the agency, I knew that person's probably A, not going to be there forever. B, you think about the media buying time. Like when are they having a proposal? It's like, oh, I missed the boat. So it's not going to be until next year. Great. Am I not going to follow up with you for another year? So in reality, I call you today. Sorry, but no sorry. Fine. I'll call you in a year. It's like, no, because I call you in a year, that's the transactional side. So it was always about, great. How do I always stay in contact? How do I stay connected to you? How do we build a relationship? So from a relationship-based seller, it's always been who I've been. And it's just expanded to, as I've gotten older, how do I leverage that network and that power to make it a true superpower? Because I always tell the story of like I never was with a big company that had the deep pockets that my other sales friends had. So if they're doing the Gene parties or buying you tickets to the Super Bowl, whatever it may be, right? Like they had the deep pockets because they understood what you were going to spend, and that's what the company's willing to do. So for me, it was always relationships. I had no choice to go, look, you're going to buy from me because you like me, because what I have to offer is there, and you trust that what I'm going to do is truthful, and I'm backing that up. So that has always been how I've sold and acted.
I love that because that to me, it plays because you went from that media side, and podcasting is very, very relational. There's the relationship with the guest. There's the relationship with the audience. So to me, I haven't given people much background. You work for RSS.com. What is it? And I love the title. I'm going to let you reveal your title. What is your title and what is it you do with RSS.com?
So the title is Head of Relationships. And it turned into, I was at a previous company. And so what we figured I was going to do was X, Y, and Z. Then X, Y, and Z became more letters. I'm like, you guys, there's just too many things I'm doing here. And so we boiled it down. It's like, what is my role? Your relationships. Great title, Head of Relationships. It sounds amazing. It sounds perfect for what I do. And now I think that's just the title I'm going to go with for everything, right? My company is Time and Relationships LLC. I'm Head of Relationships for RSS.com. Everything for me is life is about time and relationships. And so what I get to do with RSS.com for anyone listening, watching, right? RSS.com is a podcast hosting company. We're one of the largest ones out there. So I always describe it just like you need to have your website hosted on GoDaddy, Squarespace, whatever it is, and then you consume that you consume that website on Chrome, Safari. Same concept with your podcast. It has to be hosted somewhere. RSS.com is the host, and then you consume it on your Apples or whatever other platform it may be. And so for me, I get to do anything that's not building. It's a relationship. So you do not want me technical. You do not want me coming to you going like, we were talking in the green room before this, right? Like whatever you have to do to unplug. I'm like, yeah, the tech side, I couldn't tell you a single thing. Coding, I know AI allows you to do that now. Not my shtick. I like to talk. And so it's how do I help our customers? How do I bring them together and create an environment where they can learn, they can grow, they can connect with each other? How do I work with people like yourself and on the production side and go, all right, how do I learn what you're doing, who you're talking to, whether it's a service provider or it's a service that we don't provide at rss.com. We do the monetization, we do the hosting, we do so many things, but we're not everything. So I still got to go work with those other companies and say, if you need to record, like right now we're recording over Riverside, we don't do recording. So how do I work with a Riverside or what we do? We're working with Ala2 as the recording platform. So it's how do we create those partnerships and create those relationships to bring value to and in reality, to the creator, to the listener, and to the companies involved.
Wow. The funny thing is I know that's not rehearsed, but what a great way to say that. And I love that. With that, it's so funny because you do not have your own podcast.
Not yet. It's I don't know when this is coming out. Probably this will come out before mine does, but I mean, you're the first. Anyone that's listening, you don't see it, but anyone that's watching, if we do this video, I'm working on the video setup for my actual first podcast. So yeah.
Oh, I am excited for this because the experience you bring.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
As the industry, and you're an industry insider, you're working on the back end of things. You're talking to a bunch of people in the industry. On top of, you've been a guest on it. The number that I saw was over 100 podcasts. So this is not your first rodeo. The head nod of like, okay, that's fair.
No, I always say I'm an outsider, but I'm an insider, but I'm truly an outsider until 2026 when I will actually join the ranks of everyone else and become a podcaster. Because everyone's been asking, when are you going to have your own podcast? And I'll finally have one.
I figured you were annoyed with getting that question so often, so I wasn't going to ask it. But the question that I kind of want to ask is, there's a lot of businesses and there's a lot of podcasters that they're going flat. I mean, they get their mom watches, their mom listens, 2 or 3 of their friends listen, and then it stays. What is the thing that you see that is crippling these people, that is holding them back? What's the thing that you see so many times that that's just not happening? Where is it the packaging? Is it the titling? Is it the fact that their audio sounds like they're talking into a bathtub? What are some of the things that you see that's holding them back?
Can I say yes, 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 and yes? Right?
Yes,
yeah,
by all
right?
means.
I think the number one, if we instill it down to like the first thing, I would say strategy. What's your why, right? And I think we struggle with that overall. I mean, just forget your podcast, but just what is my why? Why am I doing this? What is my role? What is my job? What is my reason in living? Right? We go philosophical there, right? But we all forget, what is our reason? What is the strategy? And I think that becomes, there's too much noise in why I'm doing this, because everyone's like, I want to be the next Joe Rogan. Great. As I tell everyone, you want to be the next Joe Rogan? Start 40 years ago as a comic in New York and grind for 40 years and know that that's the career you wanted. And somehow you ended up as a podcaster because the skills you had there brought you to where you are now. So that's a completely different thing. But like, what's your strategy? And coming at it from my media background, right? Too many people are, I am trying to grow my podcast, or I'm having a podcast, I'm trying to grow it so that I can get sponsors, so I can get advertisers. And the reality is that is a completely different business strategy, a reason why, than I'm using this to build my know, like, and trust. I'm using this to get into rooms. I'm using this to get a new job, whatever, further my career. There's so many other reasons to have a podcast than it would be nice if someone paid me with media dollars and I was able to promote that on my show night and day. And so I say yes, yes, and yes, because then it's the titles and descriptions. It is the quality of the audio. It is being a good host, which is incredibly tough. Back to this, your point of, I'm about to have my first show, so I'm going to have to go sit in your shoes. It's easy as a guest to go, give me what you have to ask me, and I'll ramble. I don't come prepared. Now I'm going to actually have to be a host and be prepared and figure out what is the story I'm going to tell, what is the strategy, as opposed to, you know what, we're just going to wing it for the next hour. And that's what a lot of people do. They're like, I want to bring people on. We'll just talk. But like, no one wants to be on a fly in the wall and just listen to two people having a conversation, which is why I'm a big fan of breaking the fourth wall. Why I keep saying, like, anyone that's listening and watching, like, I'm bringing in for you. I'm trying to act as you, because that is what we forget to do a lot of the time.
It's funny you say that. We so often, and even in the class that I teach, we talk about the prep. And your podcast turns out as much as the prep work you put into it. The painting a room example is the one that I use all the time. That anyone that's painted the room, you know how good that room turns out is dictated by the prep work. If you take the switch plates off, if you tape everything off, if you wash the walls, if you cut it in, the room's going to look nice, even if you don't use the best paint. If you walk into the room, pop the lid off, and spin with the can, well, it's probably not going to look all that great. I would probably do the second one just because of the fact I hate painting rooms, but that's a whole nother sport. You've mentioned, like, systems separate great podcasts from forgotten ones. When you look at that, is that a lot of cases? I mean, is that causing the pod fade? Is that causing the lack of content? Is that causing just those errant things? And then the next piece that I kind of want to parlay into that is, do you see it as a guest, as a habitual guest? Is that the right term for this? You'll go with it. Is as someone that is the consummate, we'll put the positive spin, the consummate guest. Do you see it when someone's prepared, or when someone's like, "Hey, Greg, come on the show and we're going to talk"?
Yeah. Yes, yes, and yes. Again, right? So systems, part of the reason I haven't had a podcast is I didn't have a reason, right? Everyone's like, when are you going to have a podcast? And for me, I literally coach the whole reason to have a podcast is you're using for there's a purpose. And I wasn't going to be, let me go get media dollars, let me grow the show. That wasn't a purpose for me. And so what am I doing this for? Is either to get my know, like, and trust, build relationships, whatever it may be. So I'll avoid the pitch of why what I coach people on from a podcast standpoint. But the reason it's taking long now that I have a concept is I want to get my systems in place. And that was starting with, let me go reach out to the people that I think will already be a guest on my show and go, hey, I'm launching a podcast. Would you be a guest? And now I've already got 30 people that said yes. So I've already got the bench open going, like, all right, I don't know who's going to be scheduled, but at least I already have people saying yes. And the nice thing about that is I can go find other people, because I've got a list that I just keep adding to it of other people that I would want to add. And now you can always do those recordings, but also know that I'm not always struggling to go, who's going to be a guest on my show, which you see a lot of the time people are doing. It's like, you know what? Someone said they want to be a guest on my show. Great, I'll slot them in. But I'm like, no, there's got to be a reason for bringing that person on, the strategy tied to it. Systems are, well, what about the repurposing side of it? And that's a whole another can of wax, right? Where how do I get the systems of not only making sure that my guest has the assets available, but also the assets I need, and getting those systems in place so that it's seamless. There's so many other components to making sure that you are scheduled. And I say this all with the loving kindness of, too often we are overthinking just hitting record. And you hear that a lot of just hit record and start recording because it's not going to be perfect. Great. I know when I take the seat that you're in, it's not going to be the best experience. In the first 10 episodes, just like everyone says, don't listen to my first 10. We're going to work out the kinks. But if I can get the systems right, then working on the craft becomes that becomes the focus, as opposed to let me work on the craft. And then once I've got the craft down, then I can work on the systems. It's like, no, your systems are going to be the key piece because that's going to bring it back to your why. What is the reason I'm doing this? And if I know the systems are leading me towards that why, then I can work on that craft and improve it from there. And so I think that kind of answers the overall question there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's interesting to me because it brings up, I'm an analogy guy, all about the analogies. And what I thought of is a bicycle.
No more house paintings. I have bike. Great. I got bikes.
Good. Bicycle. That's where I'm going to, is a bicycle. I think of like all the systems on the bicycle. If those are in good working order and you're trying to learn how to ride a bicycle, great. If the chain is rusty, the front wheel's lopsided, and there's no air in the tires, learning how to ride the bicycle, no matter how, it's just not going to go well. So that's the analogy that popped into my head that was kind of interesting for that. So yeah, I love that systems approach. One that I use with people too is I kind of talk to them about like the structure of the show and how you're going to do those things. Because there's a reason why The Price is Right has been successful for 6,000 years. It's the same thing every time. They announce, people, they come screaming down the aisle. There's always that one jerk, $1, Bob. There's those things with that. That being said, I know RSS.com covers like basic distribution, the metrics, all those things. What is the single most underutilized feature or tool or strategy that you know of, that you see that like RSS.com has that maybe is underutilized? Is your podcast not getting the results you hoped for? Are you feeling stuck and unsure how to grow your audience or make a real impact? We get it. Podcasting can be a challenge, but with the right strategies, it can be an incredibly powerful tool. That's why we're offering our free no-pitch podcast consultation. We'll spend 30 minutes with you identifying areas for improvement on anything from optimizing your audio or video quality to developing a content strategy that resonates with your customers. If you're ready to unleash your podcast's full potential, visit the link in our show notes to schedule your free consultation. Space is limited, so sign up today so we can help you create a podcast that truly shines.
Ooh. So there's I don't know how to say this without putting it down, and it sounds terrible. So if you think about it, podcasting's been around 20 years. So you've got a bunch of podcasters, or a bunch of people, I should say, that have been podcasting for quite a while. And they've realized that RSS, real simple syndication, is the tool or the platform that's being used to distribute and help us with podcasting. And this is where we go into like the technical side. Not my thing, right? But it became, what else can we do with the RSS feed? What else can we allow to have be discovered? How do we improve so it's not just a distribution, but there's more that's tied to it? So RSS.com is the champion of the location tag. And we're a huge proponent of that for a couple of reasons. One, we just launched a free and local and niche podcasting plan, because in our mind, podcasters are pretty much if you boil it down, you are local or niche. You are supposed to, you can't be everyone to everything to everyone. Right. So you are niched, right? So whether it is, I am the covering my local neighborhood and going around to restaurants and businesses there and doing a podcast around that, or in your case, you're niched down to not everyone's going to be listening to the show. There's a niche to it. So for us, if you then add the location component to it, I can say your show is produced X. And then if you want it, you could do location tag. We're talking to Greg, who's based in LA. So if someone's now doing a search for, podcasters in LA, Greg's going to be coming up, or your show's going to be coming up, or this episode's going to be coming up. So it allows from a discoverability standpoint. And I think as we see the industry goes, different than what radio was, very local voices that then became syndication. So now it's everywhere. Podcasting gives you that kind of opportunity to go, right, I'm going to talk to my local network, my local community, my niche, whatever it is. You could be anywhere. You could be in my little town, but you've got the ability to discover that. So I think location tag is something we're pushing for and pushing harder on as we want to continue to help people get more discovery.
We're 99.9% of our clients are businesses that are doing it for the marketing flywheel that can build off of that. And that's their return on investment with it. It's not they're not looking for the big sponsorship. They're sponsoring their own podcast in a way, and that's the way that works. As a bit of a pivot, you have some insight as once again, you're watching the industry. We live and die and breathe this stuff every day. But in many cases, we're buried in what we're already doing. You're working in a realm that's pushing the industry forward. So everyone always wants to know, what are some of the things that you see that are coming in the next 6 months? What do you see that's coming in the next 8, 10, 12 months that's interesting, that people should be prepared for? That, I mean, my famous saying is, if I'm walking into a shitstorm, I'd like to know which way the wind's blowing. I'm assuming there's some really good rainbows that are going to come out of this too. So what are some of the rainbows that we should be looking for?
I think that's why RSS.com doubled down and created the free local and niche plan, because we see the return to local voices. I mean, you hear this right now. You look at Amazon basically scrapped Wondery and they're going heavy video. You've got Spotify that's partnering with Netflix to take on YouTube and going heavy video. So video continues to be the piece. But if we can go down local voices, and I don't know I think we were having the conversation, or I was having this conversation with someone about it before we did this recording. If you look at a company, AOL had Patch, and they did all these local voices and all these local writers, and they were trying to aggregate that and monetize that. Well, there's a way to do that without having to pay all these writers. Now you just aggregate, let's get 500 podcasters in the LA area, create a network. I think City, what is it? City, blinking on. There's a network that's doing that, local city, but I'm talking about the localized individual user and being able to have a voice. If everything's video, you're missing out on the audio piece. One thing I keep saying is, if anyone's watching, right? So I'm going to show my hands, but you've got 3 things on one hand. So you've got someone saying, I listen to too much music, I read too many books, and I listen to too many podcasts. You don't hear anyone saying any of those 3 things. Yeah. If you said to me, Greg, I listened to 10 hours of music this weekend, I'm going to be like, that's amazing. Let's talk about bands. Like, no one's going to go like, you probably should have done something else, right? But on your other hand here, you have, I scroll too much. I'm on social media. I'm on my phone too much. I'm scrolling social media too much. I watch too much TV. I watch too much news. And this last one is a little difficult, but I watch too much sports. And one reason I say that's a little difficult is because it's live, right? So like live sports, but it's like, yeah, I sat all weekend and watched the NFL and college football. There's probably you should probably be doing something else. I guess the 6th one, if I think about it, video games. I play too many video games, right? So like we all complain about those 6 things that are too much, but they're all video based and it's all attention. They're all owned in a sense by media companies. I mean, like Microsoft with Xbox, well, it's a media company at its core, even if you look at it as a software or a hardware. But the 3 things that we don't complain about: too many podcasts, too much music, too many books. Right? So like that's where I think from an industry standpoint, podcasters aren't going away. Your fight for your attention and consumers continue to go, look, I've got to be on video because that's where the audience is. That's where I'm able to reach a bigger audience. But no one's complaining about you're too many podcasts. So I think on my standpoint, where we're going in the next 18 months, it's going to get back to, we saw in 2021, Spotify and the big networks buying all these big companies. You're seeing some changes there now, and we're seeing some M&A and mergers and that end and that aspect. But I think getting back to the audio roots will still be there. It's just a matter of how you're going to make money. And I think that's where we have to push creators to understand, just like your agency does, there's 20 ways to make money. You don't have to just make it in the media advertising way.
I love the local piece to that, because the other thing that I see with that is we did a very local show for a small city here, city of 29,000 people. It was very easy to go to the local grocery store and meat market and say, hey, we're talking to 600 people that are in, like, this is your exact target audience. You're not going to get any more targeted than this. These people only care about this city. Do you want to sponsor that? And they were like, yeah, we'll write a check. That to me, going that local roots, because that to me, I see that in so many cases too. Like when you look at the things going on, no matter which side of the table you're on in politics and government, there's so many national things right now that most people don't like. You don't have much of an effect on that, but you can have a huge effect locally. So I love the fact that you guys are doubling down on that local piece and encouraging that, because that to me, it's that niche, and it's that thing that's going to get neighborhoods talking. And it's that thing that, I mean, it's going to build these communities that I feel like, because we're scrolling so much, because we're watching these big video creators, because we're watching these big platforms, we've lost that sense of local community. So I absolutely love that. The other piece this is the thing that I truly love about podcasting too, is it's you can be doing other things. I can be going for a jog. I can be walking the dog. I'm probably not. If you see me jogging, run also, because someone with a weapon is chasing me. But you can be doing other things. You can be working in the garden. You could be doing all these other things while having the podcast going, so you can learn and do those other things with it. The other thing that I like about podcasting too is it's an intimate thing, and how often do you invite? Like you don't invite strangers into your car. But in your car, you've got a podcast, and you've invited these strangers into your car. The other thing, and this is where it gets super awkward for people, is I'm like, you have literally inserted these people in your ears. Like right now, you have inserted me in your ear, which is creepy as hell to say, but it's a closeness to it. It's an intimate thing. It's really cool that it builds those relationships and builds those things that way.
It's what the parasocial connection is the big buzzword that seems to be going around. Our founder Alberto did a whole talk about it, and part of his research on it. But yeah, that's literally it. How do I have? And it goes back to relationships, which is also what I love about this. It's like, hold on, are we maximizing the relationship? Are we maximizing that connection of this person in my ears beyond just how do I make money with advertising? How do I make money with a sponsorship? There's so much more that comes to it.
A quick question for you. The thing that I have noticed when I sit down across the table from someone and I ask intentional questions, I feel closer to that person. Do you get that too when you're on as a guest?
It's funny. Yes. I mean, so the answer to your question is yes. And what I was going to say is what I love working about podcasting is even when we're not on camera and we're not recording, I'll have a conversation with someone. They're like, I'm going to just be blunt with you. And I'm like, that's what I love about podcasting. You have to be who you are. What you're going to say to me right now is probably what you would say most likely if you were going to record this, because that's who you are. Maybe you'd be like, I don't want to go on record and do that. But for the most part, the connection, the relationship I'm able to build because of podcasting has taken my relationship, a business, but relationship component to a whole nother level because, and I think also COVID impacted that, right? Sure. Like we're recording, you're in an office, I'm here at home in a makeshift studio, but like I'm now entering you. If anyone's watching, you're now in my home. So not only are you watching my home, but you're also meeting me and the sound of my voice. So it's created that I want to be authentic, which is an overused word, but at the same time, like, this is who I am. And I've come to realize that. So the questions you ask, I'm like, yes, ask me what you want. I'm an open book, and I'll have as Brene Brown says, we all go through it. We'll have the vulnerability hangover afterwards, going like, I can't believe I shared that publicly. I can't believe I opened up. And then you realize, like, that is also the joys about having a podcast and being out there, because now you have no clue who's going to come back to you. It's the greatest gift I can get. If anyone does this, please. The greatest gift is someone then follows me on LinkedIn and said, I heard you on Josh's show. And whatever it is I said, it connected with, and I will then take a screenshot. I'll send it to Josh and go, Josh, here's a person you probably didn't know that was listening to your show besides your mother. And here's at least someone you can know, because as a host, as a guest, we don't know who's listening. That's the biggest thing. We are just two people right now talking, and you are, in a sense, a fly in the wall that I'm trying to bring you in here, but I don't know who you are. So the connection that you and I get to create, and for anyone else to listen, is just a powerful, special thing.
Sure. I love that. And it's I'm going to go back to, like, the authenticity piece. Yes, overused. But the other thing that I really want to say with that is, in the short time that I've known you, you would not be good being someone else. You do good as yourself. I think you would be a terrible someone else. So I'm glad you pretend to be you when you're you. It works well for you. Now that we have everyone thoroughly confused, probably including yourself, there's a question that I always like to ask of anyone in the industry, anyone that does podcasting or anything like that. If you could give one piece of advice to anyone that's wherever in their podcasting journey, especially though towards the beginning when they're like, I don't know if I want to do this, or they just started and they're like, okay, I think I'm doing this. What's that one piece of advice?
Have a strategy. I'll go back to it. Go back to what's the reason? What's your why? Always have that as your North Star, right? And it's okay to have your strategy change, right? Every 6 months, check in. A, am I still on the North Star course? B, is my course changing? And if that's okay, then great. Figure out if my new strategy, my new North Star is X and I was before Y. How do I bring my listener along with me and know that it is okay to make that pivot? I see that a lot. Podcasters, creators as a whole have been doing it for years. And like, my show was originally this, but I've outgrown that. And so I'm going to change. I'm going to rename the show. It's still me, but there's still something different. And I know I will lose people because of that, but I'll also gain new people because I'm in a different part of my life or turn part of this journey. So I think the biggest one is have a strategy, check in with yourself, and be honest with what you're doing.
I love that. And for me, it's that strategy. You have no idea if you're getting pod creep if you didn't know where the hell you were going to begin with. You have no idea if you're getting off course. So yes, have that strategy. Know where the heck you're going. And if it starts to change, great. But make it an intentional change, not just I was headed south and now I appear to be going north. And when the hell did this happen?
And if I will say, I'll say the second thing. Once you've got a strategy, consistency. That becomes the biggest thing. Unless you are I'm just doing an 8-episode, mini series, or a short little, that's it, I'm done, and it's highly produced or whatever it may be. Consistency is key, because every one of us that is following a leader right now is a leader for the most part because they've been doing it for quite a while, and they've overcome the fades of everyone else. I mean, everyone talks about how many podcasts there are. There's millions of podcasts, but there's only 400,000 active podcasts. And we think about how many don't make it past 10 episodes. They don't make it past 10 episodes because they faded out, because they didn't have a strategy. They didn't have a reason why. And they got discouraged of, I'm not getting downloads. I'm trying to do everything I can, but it's not growing. And the reality is it takes time. Analogy since you like analogies, the analogy that I came up with the other day was, you said, how many people are in your town?
There was about 29,000 in this one.
29,000? So take a small town, 29,000. That's still technically big, but you're small enough to go like, I probably know everyone here, right? Like Sally's dated every person in the town because it's so small, right? And so we could think about that one. But if you go to a bigger city, like I live in Los Angeles, my building, my apartment complex, I don't know, 130 units, so call it 200 people. I could have my best friend in this apartment complex and never run into him because our paths just never crossed. And the same concept comes for your podcast. If you quit before you've actually continued to reach out to everyone, to meet everyone, to get your message out there, then you may be quitting before you've actually found your people. No different than dating. If we want to go down the dating route, it's like there's 8 billion people out here. There's got to be not the right person, but there's got to be a person for you, and you just haven't found that person because you may say you're everywhere, but you actually aren't everywhere. You aren't asking everyone, hey, my friends, can you guys go help me find a person? So do the work. And so the consistency becomes the big piece that a lot of podcasters are missing out. And then they're getting discouraged that I'm not growing because they're also not putting the work to help themselves grow, and understanding growth will take time. Finding the right people will take time. Uncovering the stones will take time. You just need to keep doing with it. And then once you've done that, 2-3 years, wow, do you take off. And the ROI truly becomes so much greater than what you could ever imagine. And that's the little carrot that you don't know is being dangled in front of you, of how much more you're going to grow as a person, as a human, but also the world that's going to be opening up to you from podcasting. None of us know, but I could just tell you it's there.
The analogy you made about the paths never crossing, and just needing the time for those paths to eventually cross, that to me is pure brilliance. I absolutely love that. That being said, how could, and how would you like people to get a hold of you, find you, and support what you're doing with rss.com and support podcasting?
So I'm the standard do as I say, not as I do kind of person, which is fun, right? I don't have a website.
That's why we get along.
Right? I don't have a website. I don't have an email list. I live on LinkedIn, and I live on having lost 2 jobs through social media platforms changing the algorithms. I understand it's kind of the irony of that, but like, I don't look for downloads. I don't look for engagement. I don't look for views, but like I live authentically on LinkedIn, but not only from who I am, but the connections. Like I don't care if I've got 10,000 followers. I want to know who the 8,000 connections I've got are, so that on Mondays when I'm posting about podcast, I'm able to go ahead and create the connections there. On Tuesdays when I'm trying to help people find jobs, I'm able to tag the people in my network going like, what's the point of a network if you can't use it? So please, you will find me on LinkedIn. That's the best place. If you are looking at rss.com as a hosting company, I run our community. I do a lot of the work there. So you'll probably engage with me, and I would love to bring you in and educate you there. So yeah, that's probably the best place to look for me.
Wonderful. I greatly appreciate the time today. There's a lot of great lessons and nuggets that, to me, I've pulled even from this in terms of like the paths crossing. That my mind's still like blazing from that one, and I'll probably need 25 to 30 minutes to recover from this. I really want to thank you for coming on this show today. I greatly appreciate it. For everyone else out there, I got to take 10 or 15 minutes, summarize this, and we will be back in just a few minutes when I do the summary. Thanks again, Craig.
Thanks a lot, Josh.
To me, the thing that, like I said, my brain's still melted down here. The thing that stuck with me the most is that putting in the work. And we see that even when people start out, there's these small rewards. And like putting in that work and that effort for those small rewards. And as Greg said, you kind of hit 2.5, 3 year mark, that's where things really start to get traction. But you have to put in that work up front. So many people, I see them buying likes, or they're buying views, or they're buying those items. And it's trying to buy that visibility. And it just doesn't work that well. It really is. It's about putting in that work, putting in that effort. And it's not that if your only goal is that visibility, then it's going to be very tough. If your goal is the relationships, if your goal is the connections, if you have the why established, if you have the strategy established, then you've got, as Greg said, you've got that North Star that you're going towards. You're going to see these small rewards in those new relationships, in those new connections, in those extra couple of downloads each week. You're going to see those, I guess I would say, mental rewards in a way. But it's all on the way to that greater good, that North Star that you're looking at, that bigger picture, that when things really start to come together. The thing that after we hung up that really started to become a good analogy for me was, let's call it the bank account, or let's call it an IRA, or your stock account, or things of that nature. It's compounding interest. This week you may have 2 views. If that doubles in 3 months, so let's say it doubles every 6 months, or let's say it doubles every month, just for laughs and giggles here. So the first 2 months, you've got 2 views. In another couple of months, you got 4. In another couple, you got 8. This still sounds really kind of crappy, right? Well, in another couple, you got 16. In another couple, you've got 32. In another couple, you've got 64. Very quickly, you start to see that compounding interest. Doubling is big numbers now. Doubling from 2 to 4, you're like, whatever, that's a fluke. It could be 2 people clicked on the wrong podcast. That could be the jump from 2 to 4. I get it. And I've seen it happen with podcasts. But it really is. It's that long-standing consistency. If you deposit $25 a week in the bank, for the first year and a half, you look at this and you're like, what am I doing? This hasn't added up. But after a few years, and after a little bit of that interest adds on, suddenly that starts to become a pretty big number. And those numbers are what can become pretty effective when it comes to your marketing. In many ways, we're helping you build that content that's going to get you the blog post, that's going to get you the email, that's going to get you those scrollable clips that you're going to see on Instagram, that you're going to see on TikTok, that you're going to get discovered in some of those other areas. And those don't always necessarily translate to podcast views, but at least there's some visibility there to get you by in the meantime. While you build that podcast, another great analogy for that is going to the gym. It takes a while to really start to build that muscle. But once it starts to build, you start to see that it just starts to take off, and it starts to take on a life of its own. But it takes that consistency to do that. You can't show up to the gym 1 week, skip 3 weeks, then show up 4 more times. That's not how that works. You've got to make that consistent effort. It's one of the things that I absolutely loved about that conversation. The other one is Greg is phenomenal with the relationships. We had a pre-call a couple of weeks back just to talk, make sure he's going to be a fit for the podcast and what we were going to talk about. In that conversation, he's like, hey, I know someone in Cleveland I should connect you with. I think you guys get along great. You two should talk. Just out of the blue, he's just looking to help. He's looking to connect people. It's that helpfulness. It's that willingness to share. It's that willingness to spend his time talking on the podcast. It's that giving mentality. It's that giving mindset that just truly makes him valuable. And that's what can make your podcast valuable. Have that giving mindset. Give out that information. Like, if you have guests on, help facilitate that information. That's what we're going for with this. That all being said, I appreciate you coming along for the ride. This was a conversation that I've been looking forward to for quite some time because we've had this on the calendar for a little while. Do me a favor, like, subscribe. If you think someone would find this interesting, by all means, do me a favor, send it to them. Let me know you did. I'd be happy to hear it. The other thing is, go to Greg's LinkedIn, connect with him. Just an incredibly, incredibly valuable resource to have. Do yourself a favor when you connect with him. See how you can be a resource to him. You're going to be amazed at how that makes that relationship work. That all being said, do me a favor. Take care of yourself. You can take care of someone else too. I will see you very, very soon.
Creating engaging content can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. That's why I'm excited to share our Stomping Podcasting newsletter. You'll get actionable insights and expert tips straight to your inbox. These are to help you maximize your video marketing and podcasting return on investment. Head over to the show notes and click the link to subscribe to our free newsletter. Don't miss out on this opportunity to become a video marketing and podcasting pro.